Hi guys, I decided to do this little video to try and explain and clarify this whole new controversy that's surrounding the SeeAudio Rinko. Well, I'll be honest. When I first heard news of it, I was kind of surprised, and I said to myself, I really hope that this is not going to be a repeat of what happened a couple of weeks ago over the encounter. And I proceeded to try and find out exactly what was going on. Anyway, what is going on is the following. Let me just quickly give a very quick explanation. This is a conventional planar driver. In a conventional planar driver, you have a diaphragm. That diaphragm has etched onto it the voice coil, and I'll show you a real picture in a second. And then it is surrounded on either side. It's introduced into the diaphragm is then attached to a holding ring, let's put it that way. And on either side of that said holding ring, we have a magnetic system which is very carefully positioned over the wires to have the most efficient possible interaction between that magnetic system that's created by the two magnets on either side of the diaphragm and that voice coil when it's energized by a signal. And this then makes obviously the diaphragm vibrate, producing sound, so on and so forth. This is what a conventional planar driver is all about. Okay, now let me just quickly show you here then what the picture I was saying. So there you go. That's the diaphragm, as I mentioned, with the voice coil all etched out onto it perfectly and so on and so forth. What we have there is what is known as an SPD driver, a square planar driver, which was something developed by Kinera. Some say it was Belsing. Anyway, that's really unimportant now. What is important is it was showcased by Kinera first in the Celeste Gumio, and what they've done is they've gone and fetched some characteristics of a normal dynamic driver and some characteristics of a planar driver. Okay, and what do I mean by that? I'll explain now a little bit more in detail. Sorry. Oops, my apology, guys. Okay, so let me just quickly show you another picture so you can understand the difference. So this is the diaphragm of a conventional planar driver used on an IEM, probably 14.2 or 14.5 millimeter. And as you can see again, perfectly etched, the voice coil onto the diaphragm, everything covering the majority of the area of the diaphragm. While on an SPD, you have the voice coil all wound up and basically stuck onto the one side of the diaphragm. So no way is this going to be more efficient than that. You have a perfect, let's say, coverage of the diaphragm which will make it move perfectly, while over here obviously that interaction, that movement of the diaphragm will not be as efficient. Okay, but it's also cheaper to manufacture. So okay, we got that. I just want to show you one more picture. Yeah, all right, there we go. The SPD driver, what it does have is, in similar to a planar driver, is magnets on either side, bigger on the back, on the rear, and slightly smaller on the front. And so these are the magnets which will interact with that voice coil once again in a less efficient manner, obviously. And then when the voice coil is energized, it moves the diaphragm and it produces sound. The difference, the main difference sonically between an SPD then and a planar driver is because of this loss of efficiency in the way that this interaction comes about. SPD drivers usually do not have an extension which goes very much past 5K, so they require the usage of a secondary driver. And the Celeste Gumio was a perfect example of this, a 1+1. The Celeste Pandemon, exactly the same thing. The SeeAudio, oh my god, I forget. The Dawn was also a 1+1. We had the Jusier as well, which was a 1+4. So there have been some implementations, but all of those implementations always require a second driver to help out with the upper mids and with the high frequency. All right. Now that we've covered this, let's then talk about what it is that the Rinko has. When I first heard of the Rinko and I heard the word microplanar, I honestly thought we were talking about something along the lines of what is used in the Madu 711, which is a kind of a niche IEM. And these microplanars are effectively, they well look like BAs, okay? And that's what I thought when I heard microplanar. Little did I know that no, I couldn't be further from reality. I mean, actually, I can show you here. Okay, the microplanars that I thought were used by the Rinko is that over there. Okay, that driver there, which looks everything like a BA. All right, that's not the case. What they've done, okay, is this is the actual driver that comes in the Rinko and also comes in the QDC Folk, because this driver was developed by QDC. Okay, so you have a dynamic driver, all right, onto the front of that dynamic driver a microplanar, as they call it, is glued onto that, and that microplanar is then composed or broken up how? Okay, let me see, and hopefully I can explain this properly. So we have the dynamic driver back here, all right, normal casing, magnetic system, the voice coil which runs inside of the gap created by the magnet and that casing. That voice coil is attached to the diaphragm. Everything interacts, vibrates, produces sound. Period. End of story. Now, this new microplanar, what they've done, excuse me, is they've got the diaphragm with a voice coil which has been 100% correctly positioned in the center of this diaphragm, okay, or close to the center of this diaphragm, in a way that it will efficiently move the whole size of that diaphragm. And in this case, we're talking 6 millimeters. So because it's a relatively smaller diaphragm, it will be more efficient in the way that it moves it in a uniform manner. On either side, we have magnets like on a conventional planar and almost like on an SPD. And once again, that interaction of that trio there is what produces sound. The biggest difference is that all of that sound is channeled through that case which holds everything through a small hole. Okay, being a smaller driver and everything being channeled the way it's being channeled, what we effectively end up having is a driver which is very efficient in the upper frequency as compared to a normal SPD, and almost approximates a traditional planar. And that's exactly what we have in the Rinko. We have a secondary driver which is very capable and extends more than enough, okay, way more than a normal SPD would extend if it were not helped out by a BA. All right, so quick recap. That's a normal planar. That's an SPD driver, which is a more rudimentary planar, if you want to call it that way. It still uses the magnets on either side, but the magnets are dispersed in a much more, let's say, unpolished manner, and also stronger on the one end, on the back. And then we have this square diaphragm with the voice coil just, on there, put on, voice coil is just etched or glued on there, and that's it. And we now have then this driver, which they called it a microplanar. I would have preferred to have called it something else, but that's what we have. So it's kind of an in-between a conventional planar and a SPD. We have a case which holds the whole sandwich of magnet, diaphragm magnet. There has been an extra care taken in the way that the interaction of that voice coil with that magnetic system is way more efficient, just like on a traditional planar. Okay, and just so that you can see what I mean by that, I'm just going to show you this one last image here. So this is a side view. If I was to cut it sideways, we have the casing, the exit hole of the sound. We have a magnetic system which has been optimized to be at its strongest over the area where the voice coil on the diaphragm is glued. The positioning of that wire on that diaphragm is such that it will try as much as possible to interact and to move that voice coil in the most efficient and equal manner, which on an SPD has not been done as in such a polished manner or such a polished way. And what ends up being, the result is we have something which is much more closer to a traditional planar driver than an SPD, although you could argue there are some SPD characteristics here, but in my opinion, no, there's more than enough technology here to say safely that it's a planar driver. And that's it, guys. I mean, this is basically it. There's no need for alarm. There's no need for everybody to be screaming and shouting and perhaps saying that, SeeAudio has once again gone down the road of wanting to cheat us and call things which don't exist and things like that. No, this is, in my opinion, a true planar driver. I can even show you here. This is the patent filing for it. It was patented. It was filed by a Mr. Yang Lei. You can see there. Okay. That's the patent number. That's the actual driver. Like, it's basically the picture I just showed you now in color. And then there's an abstract description here of what it is, what it isn't, what it does, what it doesn't do. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. SeeAudio hasn't or isn't trying to cheat us. If anything, it would have been nice that since they are using a different technology, they could have, and since this already happened with Kinera when the Gumio was launched, which was surrounded by so much controversy, it would have been nice if they had spent a little bit in actually promoting and talking about this tech that they have used, because I am sure that it would, first of all, please 99% of us. We would all be very interested in finding out exactly what it was they had done differently and how it was done and how it was implemented. And by doing that, they would have been open, they would have been transparent. No need for any sort of now investigation would have been needed, and we would all be 100% aware of what we had. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's very simple. And that's where leads me to just say one final thing, which is all companies, but for some reason, Chinese companies must learn to have a good PR. If you're using something different, talk about it. Let people know. You're not going to be held at gunpoint by doing it. So let people know that you're using something different, that you're doing something completely different, and flaunt it. I mean, this is a new tech. It is a new tech. Flaunt it. Talk about it. Let people know. That's it. It's as simple as that. All right. Anyway, guys, this is enough. There's no real need for me to carry on here, going on about the Renko. It is a solid enough IEM, like I mentioned in my review. It's got it's a fun sound. It's V-shaped. It's a well done V. It has its flaws by virtue of how it's been tuned and so on and so forth. But overall, I think it's a decently enough fun IEM. And as always, try and listen to it if you are thinking about buying it. Listen to it first, see if it actually does satisfy you, because there's so many options that the last thing you want to do is you spend $90 or $100 on an IEM only to find out that with a little bit less money you could have had something that was more satisfying, more gratifying. Okay, anyway, guys, that's it. As always, like and subscribe. If any questions you want to ask, please feel free to do so. All right, take care now. Bye bye.